Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. Welcome to Dover, Delaware for the MBNA America 200. You're watching the pre-race show here at Dover. That's sponsored by Craftsman. And because we are in a hurry-up situation, we have moved forward the start of this race. That being because there is inclement weather in the area. Those of you that watched the Cup qualifying earlier saw a little bit of rain sprinkled in the Delaware area, and there's a hint of rain. But for right now, we have clear skies above the track, and so we're hoping to get this one underway quickly, and we will get underway with this sixth race of the Craftsman Truck Series. But first, let's take a look at the Ford top 10 point standings. Dennis Setzer's on top of the charts with Carl Edwards in second. And 2 weeks ago at Lowe's Motor Speedway, that was the official finish. Dennis on top, Carl finishing second. Well, after the race, talking with Carl Edwards, he was disappointed, thinking he had made a mistake at the end of the race. NASCAR later reviewed the onboard cameras and acknowledged that caution lights inadvertently came on briefly with 4 laps to go. Edwards was leading when he slowed. Setzer passed him, went on to win the race. The results remain official. Setzer leads Edwards by 37 points. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA.
Why turn off the engine when you can just turn off the blade? An innovative tool for every project. Ideas for the good life. Craftsman, only from Sears. It projects a perfectly straight laser beam, so you can end up with a perfectly straight cut. An innovative tool for every project. Ideas for the good life. Craftsman, only from Sears.
Now let's go. I got one, want one, gotta get one, gotta have one.
You gotta eat.
Checkers. Where'd you get it? Let me have it, gotta get it, now you got it. Yeah.
You gotta eat.
Checkers. Well, alright. Cool, you got that.
You see 'em, you gotta eat 'em. Cheeseburger choices, new pepper jack, Swiss, or American cheeseburgers, just 99 cents each. Choose your favorite, just 99 cents at Checkers.
Got to eat.
Give me that. You gotta eat.
Got to eat.
An ode to close calls. A jostling pack, a gentle touch, the sweet smell of a burning clutch. I tap my brakes, missed by a hair. Then I'm up here, and you're back there.
Racing inspires greatness. Case in point, the 380 horsepower Ford SVT F-150 Lightning, the official truck of NASCAR.
NASCAR.com ranked Dover International Speedway in the top 10 most exciting races in 2003. You'll be on the edge of your seat for every lap when NASCAR's best drivers come back for more June 4th through 6th. Come see why they call it the Monster Mile. Don't miss it. The MBNA weekend, June 4th through 6th at Dover International Speedway. Get tickets at 800-441-RACE or doverspeedway.com.
Speed Channel is giving away a Honda CBR 1000RR with race replica graphics. Tune in to Two Wheel Tuesday for the weekly code word. Then enter to win at speedtv.com. Two Wheel Tuesday's the Dude for a Day contest, only on Speed Channel.
I want to go faster. I want to go faster. 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 Faster than you. If you don't prepare, if you hesitate, I'm going to pass you.
The summer swing kicks off in Dover, Delaware for a clash between the Craftsman Truck Series and the Monster Mile. So far, 5 races, 5 different winners. Who will separate themselves from the rest of the pack? Who is tough enough to hang on as the Truck Series takes on White Lightning? Right here on Speed.
Faster. Faster. Faster than you. Faster than everybody else.
Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series MBNA America 200 on Speed Channel. And let's go trackside for the most famous words in auto racing.
Today with us to give our command for the MBNA America 200 is Mr. Bob Boyles, Assistant Vice President of MBNA Motorsports.
Drivers, start your engine!
And the engines are fired. We're about to take on the Monster Mile. Again, the 6th race of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season. And it's about to get underway when we come back. Welcome back to Dover International Speedway for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series MBNA America 200. That vehicle's fired up, but it won't be on the starting grid. But here is your U.S. Army starting grid for today's race. Carl Edwards claiming his 2nd career pole on his outside. 50% of his races this season have been in the first row. That's Jack Sprague. Steve Park with his best qualifying effort this year. Rick Crawford on his outside. And Dave Blaney and Mike Skinner make up the all-Toyota 3rd row.
Bobby Hamilton leads off the 4th row. You can see Shane Mill. I heard he had one of the strongest trucks in practice yesterday, so watch for Shane to run well there out of row 6.
See our most recent winner, Dennis Setzer, back in row number 8 on the inside. And Ken Schrader, who has won here in the Nextel Cup Series and the Busch Series.
Bill Lester rolls off the inside of row number 10. David Starr, the pole winner from Charlotte, will start outside row 11. And Brad Keselowski just getting his feet wet in the Craftsman Truck Series and doing a fine job.
Andy Houston has really struggled this year. He's on the outside of row 13. Not a great qualifying effort for him. And Mark McFarland was last year's Dodge Weekly Racing Series champion.
Rounding out the field, only 35 trucks attempted to qualify, so all 35 will make the field. Jerry Hill with 2 Cup starts and 3 truck starts here, so has a little bit of experience. Take a look at the Craftsman track description.
They call this white lightning. It used to be called the Monster Mile, and for good reason, right, Michael? Banked all the way around the racetrack. The straightaways are banked 9 degrees. There's really nowhere to keep them. If you get in trouble, you've got to hit something, Michael.
There's nowhere to hide, Bill. The banks here are the turns are tight. The banks are so high. This is the most sensational speed these truck guys will feel all year long. You lay it on the line every lap here at Dover, and it's easy for it to snap out from underneath of you, as I can attest.
We take a look at the Craftsman race analysis. Again, 35 trucks will be starting today's race.
200 laps, 200 miles, $600,000 purse. Pit window is about 80 to 90 laps. Usually when they come here, tire wear is real critical. The more rubber put down, the less the tire wear becomes an issue.
And in practice this morning, it looked like tire wear was reasonable. It didn't look like it was going to be an issue on the tire wear. You always seem to get a lot of green flag racing here at Dover as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the strategies of just running 80 or 90 laps on a tank of fuel plays in to this whole picture today.
We'll take a look at some of the drivers we'll be riding along with. Andy Houston starting in the 26th position in the Team ASE CarQuest Dodge. We'll ride along with that number 2 Dodge.
Robert Huffman will start 21st in the Toyota, sponsored Toyota. It's hit his career best finish at Charlotte a couple weeks ago.
Talked to Schrader after practice yesterday. You're looking inside the truck that Schrader drives, and he said he had a really good truck in happy hour, so we'll see what Schrader can do. He's starting back in 16th, see if he can work his way to the front.
Starting on the front row, Jack Sprague will be carrying one of our cameras as well, so the 16 Silverado of Jack Sprague starts 2nd, and that is the 3rd out of 6 races this season. 3rd time out of 6 races this season that he's been in the front row.
You see, obviously, looking at the racetrack, we have 2 or 3 racetracks on the Craftsman Truck Series circuit that are made of concrete, and this is one of them. This racetrack was paved back, I guess this is the first super speedway that was built completely out of concrete or repaved with concrete. So the thing is, it really doesn't change much as far as the weather doesn't affect it. But this track always gets tighter as you go. The more rubber put down, Michael, the tighter it gets.
So far, the groove's been right against the bottom of the racetrack field, guys running right down at the bottom. But I think we'll see that spread out somewhat today. That's been the history of Dover. As you get more rubber down, the trucks get tighter. They want to slide up the hill, and guys figure out a way to adapt to the truck being tight, run high, make better time through the turns.
That's Super Chips number 99 of Carl Edwards has a chance for the Craftsman win from the pole award. By winning today's race from the pole position, Carl Edwards can win $12,000 for his team. If Carl doesn't win from the pole today, then another $2,000 will again be added to the prize money. The purse will grow in increments of $2,000 until someone wins this award. $50,000 is ultimately available at the end of the season. Ray, what's happening in the pits?
Well, Rick, today we're certainly going to have to keep our eye on Dennis Setzer. We know he's the point leader. We know he won the last big race at Charlotte, but they have not been that great at Charlotte, nor at Dover, nor at Texas. This is the 3-race span where these guys really want to concentrate. Setzer had a good truck in practice, but he wasn't great in qualifying. He'll start 15th today. We'll keep our eye on Dennis Setzer and see if he's able to advance through the field. Wendy?
Thanks, Ray. You usually hear the term silly season on the Cup Series, but not usually in the Craftsman Truck Series. Well, it's happening now with the competition level raised up. Toyota's coming on board. The performance of the drivers and crew chief has really put a lot of pressure on them. We have a bunch of changes going on already. First, we have Shelby Howard sitting out this race, and Dave Blaney's filling in for him in that truck. Also, Tina Gordon's at home this weekend. Lance Hooper stepped into that truck. Talk about crew chiefs. Johnny Allen's been let go at the 62 of Steve Park, but some of the biggest changes this weekend was the one. Sean Parker was fired earlier this week, and Gene Need came over from the 14 of excuse me, Rick Crawford, and he's over there. So Craig Hewertson is now at the 14. This is only race 6, folks, so we have a lot to go. There's no telling what can happen next week at Texas. Rick?
Tell you what, a lot of changes taking place. Michael, you were shocked there a little bit as far as seeing how many changes took place from the last time you were up in the booth.
Yeah, and another change that took place after practice yesterday, Ted Musgrave changed his engine, so they had to drop to the back of the field. Ultra Motorsports, a strong team, a championship contending team at Homestead in 2003, have struggled this year. Both their trucks have been off a little bit. They haven't performed like they want to. Another problem with Ted's truck, he's going to start in the rear. So Gene Need sometimes waves a magic wand, though, huh, Phil?
Yeah, and Ted Musgrave is probably the happiest he's been all year this week. I talked to him right before the race, and he said, hey, I've got a comfortable truck. I know it's a bad deal starting at the back, but I really feel like we have enough truck to get us up to the front.
Well, a couple of trucks, I talked to a bunch of guys in the pits after practice. A couple of trucks they say you better watch today. One being the 4 of Bobby Hamilton. You saw Bobby Jr. standing there watching. They say that's one of the best trucks in practice yesterday afternoon. Also, I hear the 42 of Skinner's running well, and the 16 of Jack Sprague as well. You documented he qualifies up front. He's been real strong. He struggled a little bit at Charlotte last week, a couple weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to see if the soothsayers, the guys in the garage area that think they know what they're talking about, are correct, and these trucks will shine today.
I talked to Bobby as well before the race and mentioned, I said, you know, Bob, your truck's so strong. Are you going to let anybody else lead in your laps? And he said, everybody keeps saying that. Why is everybody saying that? I don't know anything different than anybody else does.
That's the common thread through the garage area. Everybody you talk to, you know, some of them will have 4 or 5 different trucks they may mention, but every one of them mentions the number 4 truck of Bobby Hamilton first as being the best truck here.
Another truck at Charlotte that was real strong was that NTN Bearings Toyota of David Rudeman. That thing was coming to the front. He had a real strong run going. Unfortunately, lost a motor, dropped from the top 5 in points down to 10th. Bobby Kennedy was in the garage area this morning saying they're very pleased with the way that truck's running today as well. So a lot of stories spread all throughout the field, especially with the fact that one of the trucks that was good at practice yesterday, Ted Musgrave, has now dropped to the tail of the field.
This track, you touched on it a little bit at the beginning during the Craftsman track description, but it is so hard to get a handle on it. And Mike, you probably would know that better than anyone just coming off the track.
Yeah, it's, you know, you just have to go for it. You got to give it all, especially in qualifying. I was spun out coming off turn 2 in the Napa Chevy, had a crash. So qualifying's real tough. These guys can settle in right now, but now's not the time to settle in. They're too wide, Phil. They got to fight for the bottom, get some room. Let's go racing.
Dennis James throwing the green flag. Honorary flagman up there with Dennis James. But we're underway with the MBNA America 200. Carl Edwards leads the field through turns 1 and 2 and down the backstretch.
As Michael mentioned, you want to get to the bottom of the racetrack. Jack Sprague was smart. He let Steve Park in the 62 Orleans Dodge get in front of him so he could get to the bottom of the racetrack.
And that right there is something we haven't seen a lot this year. The Orleans Dodge up front.
Well, Steve said that truck, they've been gaining on it week in, week out. He said the results haven't shown it, but I can tell we're getting into contention here. And you can see right now, he's battling Carl Edwards, looking to try to slide under Carl, grab the lead early in the race. The first time he will have led a truck race if he can just get around Carl. But wow, that's a big chore to accomplish. foolish, isn't it?
You know, we're used to seeing Steve Park running the Nextel Cup Series, and he's one of the guys that has fallen back down to this series to try to resurrect his career. Now, a lot of the guys have not had a hard time adapting to the trucks. But once Steve Park has not had that great a year, as you mentioned, Michael, but he's been happy with his trucks from the time they unloaded it. Charlie Wilson said, hey, we didn't run very many laps. He was happy with the truck. We saved an extra set of tires. We have 4 sets of tires that we're allowed to use in this race, and we may just need it.
That's a great team, another team that we talked about. Last year battled for a championship. This year, a little bit of a struggle.
Great battle right here for 9th. David Rudeman in the NTN Bearings, number 17. Shane Meal in the 15 just behind him.
That's 2 more of the trucks that we were talking about being good. You mentioned the 17. A lot of people said the 15 truck of Shane Meal was very, very good. You see him, you see David move up in the center of the corner to diamond the racetrack a little bit. That means move up in the center to get a little straighter run off the corner. Shane almost stuck his nose in there. Now's not the time to do that.
Well, and what you don't want to have as a race car driver, you see Rudeman here, there's racetrack in front of him. He looks in their mirror, they're stacked up behind him. That means he's holding them up. You know how tough this sport is. People will nudge you out of the way when you're holding them up. You get a nudge here at Dover, you're not going to save it very often.
Looks like David got a little bit loose coming off turn 4 right there. And Rick, you talked about the weather to the start of the show. These fellas may not be looking at this like a 200-lap race. They may be looking at this race like it's 101 laps. They've got to get halfway to be a complete race. So they may be racing right now for halfway.
Now we got a great battle for the lead. You can see the first 4 trucks there in our split screen, and they're stacked up all the way back to 7th or 8th, all right there in that lead pack.
See Bobby Hamilton making a move right there for 5th.
Oh, we got a spin off 2, 3 trucks.
Bill Lester spinning down on the infield in the 12 or 22.
Oh, Mark McFarland got caught up in the aftermath. The 59 Harris Trucking Dodge,
trying to avoid collision. Looks like Brandon Witt in the 38 also with damage.
Boy, the 12 truck of Robert Huffman, he was right in the middle of all that. He did receive some damage, but just did a great job of skirting through. It looked like, from where I was sitting, Rick, I just caught the end of it. I don't know if someone got Bill sideways, but that accident was precipitated by Bill Lester turning sideways.
We also saw the 88 with damage. Tracy Hines in the Menards 88. Problems with that is those trucks begin to come down pit road. We'll take another look at what took place, like you had mentioned, coming out of turn 4.
It's all going to start right around Bill Lester here. You're looking back towards turn number 4.
Oh.
You see him. He looked like, I don't know, was there contact between the 75 of David Starr and the 22 maybe?
From that angle, you would almost think so, Phil. We talked about guys getting underneath of you and wanting to give you just a little bit of a nudge or try to make their way to the front. Let's not convict David Starr of doing that yet. We don't really have a conclusive shot to show that or not, but it appears that way.
On board with Robert Huffman now.
See, Robert made some contact with the 38 truck of Brandon Witt.
Did a great job sneaking through there. You can't tell whether
on board with Andy Houston.
You can't tell whether Dave got a hold of Bill or not. It looked like Bill got loose, but
almost looked like David Starr was trying to check up a little bit and then got a little help from behind as well. So 4 to 5 trucks involved in our first caution coming off turn number 4. When we come back, we'll take it all out. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series MBNA America 200 on Speed Channel is brought to you by MBNA. By Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. And by the next Ford F-150, 2004 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. First caution has come out. 4 trucks with a large amount of damage. Bill Lester, Mark McFarland, Brandon Witt, 88 of Tracy Hines.
See if we can get another look at this, Rick, and figure out what the heck happened. Did Bill just get sideways, or did the 75 get a hold of him? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, the accident's already going to occur here. This is the aftermath. You see Tracy Hines and Brandon Witt get together. There's Ted Musgrave, the one truck right in the middle of your screen, driving through it.
He and Andy Houston both did a tremendous job of threading their way through that crash.
And there's a lot of trucks that were involved in that have damage now to their trucks, and this is probably a place where you don't want to have any problems with your truck.
That's for sure. And we talk about early on when we talked about the racetrack, the entire way around this racetrack is banked. 24 degrees in the corners, 9 degrees on the straightaway. So when something happens like it did coming off turn number 4, everything goes to the inside. So you saw Mark McFarland get turned around by another truck, and he made pretty hard contact with the inside wall. A lot of racetracks he would have been able to slide through the grass, made no contact, but not here. Look at, you see the banking right there. You see the inside wall right next to the racetrack. That's the backstretch we're looking at right there, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Sometimes, Phil, when you jump out of the gas coming up off the corner because of a crash, that's enough to turn the truck around and turn you sideways so when somebody runs into you. Ray, what do you got down there?
Well, Michael, just wanted to give you an update on our leader, Carl Edwards. When we got to lap 6, his crew chief, Cowboy Starlin, came on and said, guess what, buddy? We're already ahead of last year. Many of you may remember Carl only made it 5 laps here in the race a year ago, so they're pretty happy. Now, most of the guys on the radio down here have been telling us they're a little bit loose off, but all the crew chiefs say that's just fine. We'll take it loose off right now because they know this racetrack is going to tighten up later. Carl Edwards, one of the guys a little bit loose off. Bobby Hamilton saying that his is pretty loose, but so far the 99 pretty happy.
There's a good view right there of last year. This is during the race. This is the 5th lap on the race last year. Carl only ran 5 laps. That's a result. He had also crashed in practice prior to qualifying. So this was obviously, Carl told me before the race, Michael, that this was the worst day of, or this was the worst weekend of his career last year. And he said he sat down with Jack Roush the following week. As Jack said, hey, calm down. You're going to be our driver. You know, they didn't have a sponsor at that time. You're going to be our driver. Just take your time. Do what we know you can do. And a few days later, he finished 2nd at Texas and then went on to win races last year, won Rookie of the Year, and now here he is a championship contender.
Yeah, and this is some of the best medicine for some Dover woes is to sit on the pole and get out in front. And you will not find a guy 1 year later that has gained any more confidence than Carl Edwards. He believes he can take that truck and put it in places where other people can't. He believes he can drive it faster than the rest of the competition. And right now, he's correct.
And he can do backflips, too.
He can do that.
How much confidence plays into something like Dover? I mean, Dover is, everybody talks about how tough of a track this is. How much does confidence play into it?
Well, it's important. Anywhere you go, you have to feel like you know what you're doing. But every lap he makes in the lead, every lap you run in practice and your truck's good, that's what gives you confidence. Reality, what's happening right now? Right now, I'm leading the race. I'm as confident as anybody. Steve Park, he needs to be a little bit patient. He's wanting to make something happen. He's looked like he's got a great restart. Jack Sprague dives down to the bottom, but Steve holds him off. Steve needs to be a little patient right now. It's been a tough year for him. He's sitting in a good position. He doesn't want to overextend himself. He wants to make sure he gets a solid run for 200 laps today. That would be the best medicine for Steve Park.
On the inside, Rick Crawford trying to get by the Chevy Silverado and Jack Sprague.
As we talked about, as you see Rick Crawford trying to work to the inside of Jack Sprague is going to be able to get there to make the pass. He obviously had some changes in the team in the last couple of weeks because Gene Need, who went back to Ted Musgrave and Ultra Motorsports, was the crew chief. Look at this, 3 wide.
At Dover, Delaware, 3 wide. Mike Skinner's got to be involved. Yep, there he is down to the bottom. He took advantage of Bobby Hamilton getting up underneath Sprague and took advantage.
Take a look at that 23 truck right there. That is Dave Blaney, his first ever Truck Series start. He's his Nextel Cup driver. They wanted to evaluate their program, so they said, let's let Dave Blaney run a truck race and see where we are. Shelby Howard typically drives this truck, but they wanted to see where they are. They have 2 truck teams. They haven't had as much success this year as they would have liked, so they put somebody with a lot of experience, especially here at Dover with Dave Blaney, and he's doing a terrific job.
Well, they just had to do something after Charlotte, Phil. That 23 truck was not up to speed at all over there at Charlotte, so they know Dover is just like Charlotte. It's a tough track. You got to be on top of your game to do well here. So they put a man behind the wheel that's got a lot of experience to evaluate their program. It looks like Dave's in pretty good shape right now. He's driven up to 6th spot and closing on the front guys.
Ray Dunlap, what have you got?
Well, Michael, you saw the 15 there on your screen. That is Shane Meal, and we just wanted to let you know that he cannot hear the communication from his crew or his spotter. He's out there saying, guys, do you hear me on the radio? Do you hear me on the radio? And nothing comes back to him. So as a driver, right now he's out there by himself. No help from the spotter, and he can't communicate with the team to know when they should pit or what they want to do. No radio.
Ray, I bet you he can hear a spotter. He might have trouble hearing his crew, but I bet you he can hear a spotter. Got to be able to.
Things happen so fast here, too. This is one place that you want to be able to hear your spotter. As you enter turn 1 or turn 3, you cannot see around the corner. You get there so fast, you want to know if there's trouble. Shane Neal can take care of passing people. He knows when he's clear. You can feel it. But he would like to know when there's going to be trouble in front of him.
Jack Sprague checking up and moving to the inside. It looks like there might be a problem with that truck. As he fell off the pace rather quickly.
You're hearing him pedaling the throttle a little bit off the corner. Now, all of these drivers and teams have probably started these trucks a little bit on the loose side because this racetrack has such a tendency to get tighter, which means you want to lose the front end. So he may be fighting a loose condition right now, but knowing that his truck is going to get better as the race wears on.
It's fun to listen to him use his foot. Just trying to figure out how much gas he can put to that truck and still keep it going in the right direction. Got a good battle for second here. Rick Crawford has driven up to the back of Steve Park. Looks like he's got a fast truck looking at the lap times right now, Phil. Crawford's one of the best trucks out there.
Rick Crawford always runs well here. He's led a bunch of laps here. 3 of the 4 times he's been here, he's led more than 30 laps. So he's got a great truck. And his worst finish he's ever had here, he really should have won. Made a miscue on pit road. Crossed the line, got a lap penalty, and had his worst finish he's ever had here, a 14th. But he's had 2 third-place finishes and an 8th.
David Starr moves up to 14th after getting by Hank Parker Jr. in 21. Ted Musgrave, we had documented he qualified better this year or this week. 10th was his qualifying position, but had to go to the back because of an engine change. Now he's making his way back up through the field, and so he's currently in 17th.
You know, Ultimate Motorsports has been so good here over the years because Ted Musgrave has won here. Jason Leffler won his only career Craftsman Truck Series win last year in the 2 trucks. So Ultimate Motorsports has been so good here over the years, but this has been such a down year for them. They need something good to happen.
Looks like that thing's back up to his old form, though, the way he's cutting through the field. He started dead last, already up to 16th spot, so Ted's on the move. Another couple of fast trucks you see right now. Wow, I just love listening to Carl. Listen to him.
Riding on board with Andy Houston. Here goes his teammate, Ted Musgrave, making the pass on Hank Parker Jr. And it looks as though Matt Crafton's going to follow right behind Musgrave.
That puts Musgrave up into the top 15. As Michael said, he's picking them up and putting them down pretty quick. The thing I like to see is Andy Houston in the 2 truck. They changed that complete truck this morning. Dennis Conner said, hey, the 1 truck is better than we are right now. We're going to put the setup that the 1 truck has in there and see if we can make our truck better. And it looks like it's working so far.
Wendy?
Yeah, that's right, Phil. When I talked to Dennis Conner this morning, he was telling me the same things. Actually, he was expecting the truck to be uncomfortably loose for Andy Houston, but that's not the case. Andy came over the radio and said the truck is tight. Dennis Conner's just telling him that it would help that tight condition to turn and drive it down the hill through the center.
What Dennis Conner is talking about is maybe to let the truck slide up in the center of the corner, get it turned, and try to drive straighter off the corner to make the truck a little bit, try to free the truck up exiting the corner.
Phil Bonnefeld in the 25, black flag, not able to keep up the minimum speed, and so that drops the field down to 34 trucks.
Steve Park was all over Paul Evans for the lead, and we can see here Kelly Sutton going a lap down early in the race. She got some damage from that wreck earlier in the race, so kind of hurting her truck right now. Sprague is...
Ken Schrader following behind David Starr in the Spears Manufacturing 75. Drops back to 14th. David Starr moves up to 13th.
Needs a little damage to the rear of David Starr's truck. So that may have been what happened in that first incident. He might have got run into from behind, and that might have sent him into Bill Lester, or he slowed down when Bill Lester got sideways and somebody ran in the back of him. But it doesn't appear to be hurting the performance of this truck because he's on the move.
With more on Starr, Wendy.
That's right. David Starr came over the radio and said, sorry guys, he thought he got into him, so he does have a little bit of damage. They were expecting a tight condition on the truck at the beginning of the race, just like everyone else. So after happy hour yesterday, crew chief Dave McCarty freed that truck up, and he's expecting to move through the field, but we'll see what happens with that damage to the truck now.
That's one of those deals where you come on the radio and say, man, I just barely touched him. Well, that's all it takes. Sometimes you don't even have to be barely touched it, you'll spin out.
You know, we talk about there's a good side-by-side battle for, looks like for about the 4th position. That's Mike Skinner on the outside. Looks like the outside groove is definitely coming in, Michael. That's really good to see. See, Skinner's able to do pretty well on the outside. Look at Dave Blaney now. Look on the inside of Bobby Hamilton.
Bobby lost a little bit of momentum there dealing with Skinner, and Dave shot in there and tried to take advantage of it. A great battle just for the top 5 here. These trucks you see on our screen, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, they're all right together. Nobody's driving away. Nobody's dominating this race. We've got a good battle for the lead right now. Steve Park right on Carl Edwards.
But that's the Craftsman Truck Series this year. The competition is so good this year. It's by far the best it has ever been in the history of the series, the 10-year history of the series. You never know who's going to win the race from one race to the next.
Carl Edwards has led all 32 of the 200 that we are going to run so far. Just behind him, Steve Park looking for his best ever finish in the Truck Series. We'll be back with more from Dover. Welcome back. Father's Day just around the corner. Sears kicking off their Father's Day campaign from May 30th through June 20th, which is Father's Day. If you make any purchase of a Craftsman tool or other qualifying products from Sears, you have the opportunity to also get a limited edition NASCAR A Family Tradition DVD. Inside that, and that's only $4.99. Inside that DVD is an entry form. All you have to do is fill it out, give it in, and you could be possibly the winner of, I believe it's almost 300 prizes that Sears are giving away, but they're also giving away a grand prize of a Ford F-150 that will be given away at Homestead. 4 lucky fans will be able to go to the final race for the Craftsman Truck Series, where they will be treated like VIPs, and Rick Crawford will hand them the Ford F-150 with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series paint scheme.
There's a pretty happy cat right there, Rick.
Yep. We've got a new leader in front of the pack, Steve Park, out in front now. Let's take a look why.
He was all over Carl the last 10, 12 laps, and you can see here he gets right up on Carl. I don't believe Steve ever touches Carl. Carl just gets a little bit loose. You can see his hands there. Steve took the air off the spoiler and drove up underneath of him and got the lead. That's a good feeling for Steve. He is on his way leading this race and pulling away.
That was a great view of his hands as he look at Brendan Gaughan there. He was a little bit happy that Steve Park took the lead. But that was a great view through the windshield of Carl Edwards. That's what it looks like when a truck or a car gets loose. You've got to correct it, but then you got to make sure you don't overcorrect it. So you got to cut the wheel back straight. Carl did a great job there. Lost several positions. He's fallen back now to the 7th position.
A lot of drivers have made the comments about this being a self-cleaning track where things just fall to the inside. Does that cause even more problems when you have a loose truck coming out of the turns?
It's just all the speed, Rick. You're just going so fast. When you get loose, your reaction time has to be just dead on. You overcorrect it, like Phil said, into the outside wall. You don't correct it enough, the back end comes around. The degree of difficulty at this racetrack is over the top because of all the speed.
Here's a 15 truck, Shane Meal. He made a pit stop while we were away at commercial break. Right now, the crew is asking NASCAR to black flag him. We heard that he had some radio communication problems because he is missing a lug nut. So this crew wants him to come back in so they can put that lug nut on. But what a tough wreck. He worked his way up into the top 10, had a strong truck, and now he's going to find himself probably after he makes another pit stop for the black flag, at least 3 laps down.
2 leaders so far. Carl Edwards led the first 32 laps. Steve Park has led the last 11 laps in the Orleans Dodge. We're used to seeing that sight. 62 Orleans Dodge out in front. Steve Park now piloting it up front. Caution flag has come out again. This is the second caution of the day for the MBNA America 200. Steve Park still out in front. Caution coming out. We saw smoke out of the 13. Lance Hooper was driving.
Quite a bit of smoke. We're not sure if he put anything down on the racetrack, but NASCAR felt like they needed to take a look. Better to be safe than sorry, especially here at Dover.
Just as that happened, the 2 truck of Andy Houston slowed and come to the pits as well, so we'll have to see exactly what the problem was there.
This time by the pit road was closed, so no trucks coming in yet, but we expect to see all of the leaders coming down pit road.
We think they will. These trucks can run 80 to 90 laps. So they'll be right at about 59 laps. They're going to be pitting on lap 49. So that will get all of them in there in the window that they can make this race on one more stop if it goes the full distance of 200 miles. That's a familiar sight down there in the pits.
That is, and he's got a very, very intense look on his face. But now he's lightening up.
He's a little bit animated down there. That's unusual for Larry McReynolds.
Exactly. How about a bungee cord later?
Bungee cord.
Steve Park will see if his pit crew can hold serve. We've documented the fact that things haven't gone exactly like this team hoped all year. So this is probably the biggest pit stop for these guys all year long, you think?
You got Brendan Gaughan on top of the box, too, cheering him on. So I'm guessing a little bit of pressure on this team.
Can we do one of those triple split deals where we can watch everybody?
We have that technology, Michael.
Oh, man, that's my favorite thing when I watch
I think we ought to do that. There it is. Let's go down to Wendy.
Yeah, Mike Skinner came over the radio and said he's been tied off, so they're going to go down on the left side, air pressure, and go up on that track bar, taking 2 tires and fuel. Let's go to Ray.
Well, Wendy, the 62 is in. Harley Roush changes the fronts, and Robert Stramiska on the rears. Craig Neems is the jack man. They decided to go just a half a round on the track bar. That'll help loosen him up a little bit. And 1/2 pound out of the left rear tire. He has said this thing has been awesome whenever he's in clear sailing. These guys have just a little bit of a hang-up on the left rear, so they will lose a couple of spots on pit road.
Steve just got the thing in the pit box just a little bit too deep. You can see there he's hung up on the back of the 52 truck. So costly pit stop. But when he came through the pits, Phil, if you can get a replay of it, the victory lane is right there where Steve's pitting. He drove onto that paint with his brakes on and he slid through the paint. I believe that's why he wound up on the inside of his box.
Yeah, people don't realize how slippery that paint is. So I'm sure the entire rest of there's the paint right there. That's what we're talking about right there. The rest of the concrete is not slippery, but when you get on that paint, that's where he slid the wheels coming in the pits. He got too close to pit wall. The jackman did not have enough room to get a full stroke on the handle, so that's what really hurt him. And then by that time, the 52 truck had come in the pits and blocked him in.
He gets in too deep, as you can see here, too far inside, and then too close to this front line. And when he went to leave, Schrader was doing his normal deal. There just wasn't room for Steve. And you can't tear off that left front fender, Phil. That's a critical part of these trucks. You got to have all that downforce on the front end so that it'll stick in the corner. So Steve went from leading the race all the way back to 13th. We're going to find out how strong that Orleans Dodge is now as he has to fight his way through traffic.
There's another view. You see Steve trying to pull out of the pits. There's no way he can get out because one of the reasons he was in so deep, that's another reason that compounded the thing is why he couldn't get out. He was in so deep, he couldn't drive around the back of Ken Schrader's Federated Auto Parts truck. Here's the race on pit road. There's Mike Skinner, the 42 truck in the lead. Let's see who's going to come out second. There's Rick Crawford, the Sears truck, and Carl Edwards and Dave Blaney.
5th race led this season for Mike Skinner. We'll come back, see if he can hold on.
Monday at 7 p.m. Tune into Speed Channel for Nextel. Yeah, I don't even know the name of that.
Inside Nextel Cup.
I can't even remember the name of that show when I'm doing this show. Me, my buddy Schrader, Johnny Benson will dissect all the events from the NASCAR racing the previous weekend. This case, Dover, Delaware, all 3 series running. It'll be a full hour of entertainment, so be sure you tune in and check us out.
2 handsome characters there. Thank you. Welcome to the broadcast, Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons.
I just wanted so bad to say the name right because when I do the introduction at the show, I always mess it up. And they changed it. They changed the name a couple of years last year, and I just still haven't got it down pat. But
it's only June.
I know. I think I'm really going to come into my own over the next couple of months. Let's get back to the important stuff. You can see the pit summary here. Park in first, out 14th. Great stop for Skinner. He gets the lead. What happened to Chad Chapman? He suffered as well. Let's go racing.
Chad Chapman came in twice into the pits. Mike Skinner leading the field to the green flag.
Tracy Hines, the 88 truck, had damage from that first caution flag. First truck, he's on the inside. He's down 1 lap. He's the first truck 1 lap down. Skinner, Crawford, Carl Edwards all have been able to clear him. Now have clear racetrack.
Carl Edwards dropped from the lead back to 5th when Steve Park and 4 other trucks were able to get by him. And now with a good pit stop, Carl Edwards back up into 3rd. David Starr running very well, currently in 5th position.
He had a good pit stop. His Dave McCarty-led guys did a great job and got him in. Came in the pits, I think, about 11th.
Yep.
Came out with a real good finish. It was a good race for second place. Carl Edwards has they've made some adjustments to that truck, Michael, and now it looks like it's going to the front.
I guarantee he told Cowboy, tighten this thing up, buddy. I need some grip.
A lot of drivers mentioned that the track tightens up as they go. Is that something that you just plan for as a crew chief?
It's something you plan for, but Carl was so deep into a run and still loose. He knew that he needed an adjustment on that truck in order to get going. And like Bill said, it looks like he's gotten that adjustment and closing in on our leader.
Jack Sprague right there. He's currently running in the 10th position.
Looking back at Terry Cook and Steve Park, we had mentioned Steve Park with a problem in his pits. Came in, your leader came out in 15th position, now battling for the 11th spot.
Steve's got a good enough truck. He just needs to be patient. He knows how to do this. He's finished second here in the Nextel Cup race, so he knows how to be patient. He knows how to take care of his equipment. He's going to work his way back to the front, and it's just going to take him a few laps to do it.
And you can see with the move he made on Terry Cook there, he slid up the hill, diamond the corner, drove to the bottom. That truck is working right, Bill, so I expect to see him return to the front.
Another truck that we talked about at the beginning, the 4 of Bobby Hamilton. We talked about how well that one was going to run. Right now, kind of still sitting back in the middle of the pack, about 7.
Talked to Gene Neat, crew chief for Ted Musgrave, and I said, hey, everyone's talking about how good Bobby Hamilton, and there he is right there. Gene Neat said, hey, I think we compared our lap times to his lap times, and I believe we might have been a tick quicker overall than the 4 of Bobby Hamilton. How about that, Ray?
Well, definitely, Phil. And the thing was, they took some tape off the front grille for Bobby Hamilton, also made an air pressure adjustment on the right front. But the reason he did not advance on that pit stop is he got blocked in up front by the number 17 of David Rudiman. So he had to back up for a few seconds to get off pit road. That's why Hamilton didn't make any progress on that first round of pit stops.
And when you have a lead battle like we saw earlier in this race, Phil, where the first 9 trucks would all fit on our TV screen, track position is critical. It's hard to make up all those spots when everybody's running so comparable to each other. So when you lose a couple of spots, it takes you a while to make it up.
And there's 43 pit stalls here. They only use 36 of them. Obviously, we have 35 for this truck field. We have 35 trucks in the race. There's a good side-by-side battle between Bobby Hamilton and Ted Musgrave, the trucks we were talking about a few moments ago, as David Rudiman, the 17th truck, looks on. But it's not that difficult to be blocked in your pits here, because these pit stalls are not uniform from racetrack to racetrack. This is a relatively short pit road for 43 stalls, so these pit stalls are a little bit more narrow or shorter than they are at a place like Michigan or Charlotte that has a longer pit road.
It's always a challenge getting in and out of the pits, whether you're running first or last. It's difficult to do. And once you try to leave your pits, it's very narrow as well. So not only are the boxes short, like you documented, it's narrow, so it's hard to get in and get out. It's like trying to park at a mall these days. I think all those parking spots have shrunk too, because my Chevy Silverado truck won't even fit in one of them anymore.
Dave Blaney in the 23 making his way up to the front. This is his first ever truck race in that Toyota. And Dave Blaney running very well right now. Actually has moved up even to 4th place. So Mike Skinner, Carl Edwards, and Dave Blaney, your top 3. We'll be back with more racing. Let's take a closer look at the premier division of NASCAR in our Nextel Cup update. Look at the point standings, the top 10. Dale Earnhardt Jr. out in front of Jimmy Johnson, but Jimmy narrowing that gap with the win at Lowe's last weekend. Our full weekend of racing continues tomorrow with Busch Series racing in the MBNA America 200 on FX. 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, followed by Nextel Cup practice. Then Sunday, over on FX, it's NASCAR Nextel Cup racing in the MBNA America 400. 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. And a crash in turn number 1. We go over to see the 29, problems with Brad Keselowski. His first run here in a truck.
The 8 truck of Chase Montgomery also involved in that crash. As was, I think, the 06 in that field?
I'm not sure if he got any contact with that or not. The 29 of Brad Keselowski was doing a terrific job. He was running in the top 15. There's Chase Montgomery, the 8 truck right there.
Brad's been able to adapt to these trucks in a hurry and run competitively. I don't know what happened here, but his speed has been impressive.
He's got a good head on his shoulders. Pretty young guy, but does a great job in the local short tracks back around Michigan and Ohio. But this is, I think, his third start in the truck. Unfortunately, it's going to come to an early end.
Family team. Bob Keselowski does the crew chief duties. His mom, Kay Keselowski's up above, being his spotter. Let's take a look again at turn 1.
Drive down the front straightaway.
It blew up.
Yep, sure did. Look at that.
That'll cause you to crash.
Yeah, no, you see the 8 truck getting sideways in the oil right there. Certainly no fault of Brad's.
And the leaders had the leaders just lapped them?
No, I don't. There's Hank Parker Jr., the 21 truck. He's currently in the 17th position, so they were well comfortably on the lead lap when that happened.
Running on board with Andy Houston. You see it behind him. Toyota's Robert Huffman also with the view of this and trying to avoid the oil laid down on the track by Brad Keselowski. Third caution out on the track. And welcome back. Mike Skinner still out in front of the field for the MBNA America 200. The free pass coming out for caution number 3 for the 88s of Tracy Hines. And cautions breed cautions, as they say in NASCAR, and that was just a problem, I believe, of motor problems coming out for the K Automotive team, and that is something they definitely did not need right now.
Sure did not. They're unsponsored right now, trying to get Brad some experience, and he's doing a great job, but unfortunately nothing anybody could do with a motor situation like that.
No, that was catastrophic engine failure. The thing just blew up getting down into the corner, the worst place in the world for that to happen. So hadn't run enough laps where guys were comfortable to come in and get tires, or excuse me, the leaders were comfortable coming in to get tires. We had several other trucks on the lead lap that took this advantage. Rick Crawford was dropping like a bag of rocks. He couldn't get going anywhere. So they come in and adjusted that number 14 truck. Several other guys, the 10, the 52, the 50 of John Wood, the 21, then the 18 of Chad Chaffin all came in. Wendy, what did they do down there on pit road during the pit stops?
Well, actually, on that last pit stop, when the 14 truck came in for tires and an air pressure adjustment, they only took a ½ pound because he was super tight. But now it's turned to the opposite condition. He said, you need to help me out here. It is loose everywhere. In 10 laps, he lost 10 spots. So they raised the track bar on the right side in order to tighten it up, and they also put a bite in the left rail. They also topped off with fuel. Let's go to Ray.
Well, Wendy, I wanted to update the number 50 of John Wood. They also were losing the front end on that truck. He said the front tires felt like they weren't in the racetrack at all. So they came in, as crew chief John Monson decided to go down 2 rounds on the track bar and go down 2 rounds of wedge. He also has a little bit of a backfire on the number 50. We're going to take a quick break here from Dover Speedway. We'll be back, and we're at lap 75 for the Craftsman Truck Series. Back after these messages.
Welcome back to Dover, Delaware. We got this race underway right away, thinking that the potential of rain was there, but we haven't seen any precipitation in the air. So far, we've completed 78 laps of 200.
Phil said that the precipitation sometimes breaks up when it gets to the bay.
I believe it.
That's what it looked like on the radar. So I think we're all right. And again, we've only got 24 more laps to go till this is an official race. So we're going to get this race done today.
We want 200 laps.
Absolutely.
That's what the people came here to see. This possibly could keep the rain away. Could keep quite a few things away, I would guess.
Ready for
Michael Dolan pulled the pace truck back on pit road, and we're back underway. Mike Skinner out in front of the field.
We got 20 trucks on the lead lap. Track position feels, like I said earlier, is very important. So I don't think we could really venture a guess right now of who could win this thing. There's a lot of strategies and pit stops and all that'll play into that.
And a lot of time. We have over 120 laps left. Steve Parker's worked his way back up into the top 10 after his misfortune on pit road. So he's getting himself back into contention.
Now, we talk a little bit about weather. Do the teams have radars and things on their boxes that they're saying, hey, there might be weather coming, let's get out in front right away in case this thing does get rain short?
Well, all the teams will have a DSS satellite dish on their pit box. they obviously watch our broadcast is the primary reason, but they can also switch channels and look at the Weather Channel to try to keep up with that. So I think a lot of these drivers and teams will be keeping an eye out on the weather, but right now they're more worried about how to get their trucks better as they go. Mike Skinner right now is awfully good, and Carl Edwards looks to be very, very good.
But it's not so simple as just, oh, the weather's coming, I'm going to get my truck out front. I mean, This is a 200-lap race. Mike Skinner's going to drive every lap like it's the last lap. He's wanting to lead every lap of this race. He wants to be out in front. We got a smoker down in turn 3 and 4. Matt Crafton in the Craftsman, or excuse me, in the GM Goodrich truck. Kevin Harvick has had a problem there. Blew up field.
Looks like an engine failure. I don't see any damage to the right side of the truck. We definitely saw a lot of smoke out of that Goodrich Chevrolet.
That was the truck that Kevin Harvick ran at Lowe's 2 weeks ago. Obviously, not the same results for Matt Crafton. Matt Crafton takes the number 6 in as the 4th caution flies at Dover.
You know, in the old days in your shop, we used to use a floor jack like this. This old clunky thing weighs about 110 pounds. It's hard to move around, and when you start jacking on it, you can do this for days before you get your work done. But now Craftsman has come up with the Speedy Lift Jack. This thing is awesome for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's made out of aluminum and only weighs about 44 pounds. Check it out, even a guy like me can pick it up easily. It's got great handles on the side and the back, but check this out. When you go to get up to the truck, just a couple of little pumps and you're already to the chassis. This saves a lot of time for the crews down here in the garage.
See another one of the Jackson. Ray's trying to deceive people. Ray's big. I mean, Ray is a big guy. He can throw around 40-pound jacks.
Here's Rick Crawford. Good shot right there. Rick currently running 13th. He made a pit stop on the caution before this to adjust on the chassis. But Rick wanted me to wish a happy birthday to Grandma Williams from him and his son Adam. 100 years old today.
Wow, that's special.
Isn't that amazing?
Hope Grandma's watching.
She always does. He said she always watches the Craftsman Truck Series races. Big race fan. 100 years young.
Maybe Rick can charge back to the front and get her a win on her 100th birthday. Ray, what do you think about that?
Well, guys, I just wanted to update you real quick on the 50. John Wood came in here and they cut the chain on the right rear. This has happened 3 or 4 times in truck racing this year, where I've heard of teams say they just can't get the truck to handle because they've got the chain too tight on the rear. Of course, they put those chains on there so when the guys jack the truck up, they'll be able to change the tires. But they had to cut the rear chain on the right side of the number 50. We also know that the 2 truck had problems with that earlier this year. So kind of interesting to see that happen so much so far this year.
We're under the 4th caution at Dover, Delaware. Matt Crafton's number 6 blowing up, coming down the front stretch. We'll be back with more racing.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event here at the Dover Speedway, the MBNA America 200. And I'm going to call my buddy Schrader on the radio and see how his race has been going so far. Schrader, it's Mike up in the speed booth. Do you copy?
Yes, sir. I got you good, Mikey.
Tell me about your truck. You gaining on it? Thing feel pretty good?
Yeah, I think we're gaining on it. You know, it didn't qualify good. Started 16th. We're up to 12th now. Need to get a long run. We made a couple adjustments the last 2 stops and need to run a while, but that's been pretty hard today so far.
Is it the same old Dover? Is the tendency for the truck to get tighter as you race along and having to slide up the hill, or are you dealing with other problems?
I'm dealing with tight on exit, Mikey. Little free end, tight on exit. You know, the free end you can deal with, but that tight on exit's tough to work around.
Well, you're coming to the green, so pull down on them belts for me and get that thing in the wind and see if we can get in the top 10 and race these guys. You got a couple good trucks in front of you there. Parks real fast, so like they say on the radio, just follow that 62 truck. He's running pretty good.
Well, we got a long way to go, but a long time to get there. So I'm going back to work now. I'll get with you a little bit later. Hey, you're okay, aren't you?
Yeah. Physically, I'm fine. Mentally, I'm a wreck.
Well, we'll talk about that later. I always knew you had issues. I got to go to work here in a minute.
And there you have it. The green flag flies, and we're back underway after our 4th caution of the day. Mike Skinner still out in front of Carl Edwards, Dave Blaney, David Starr and Bobby Hamilton.
Ted Musgrave, the one Mopar Dodge, currently running in the 6th position.
We'll have to see if Bobby Hamilton can close ground, or if Skinner, Skinner drove away during the last green flag run. We'll see if he's got the ability to do so again. They're all bunched up tight at the front of the field right now. Carl's actually hound dogging Skinner there, trying to get up under him.
Carl seems to be really good. Excuse me, Rick. Carl seems to be really, really good right after a restart, and then Mike Skinner can gradually pull away. But right now, Carl is all over Mike Skinner.
I was going to say, back and forth, David Starr was involved slightly in that first accident that included Bill Lester and Mark McFarland, Brandon Witt, Tracy Hines, all those guys involved in that. And it looks as though they've got the 75 running very well right now. He's up to 4th position.
They've had a couple of good weeks. The way they ran over there in Charlotte, and then obviously the truck's running real good here. Wendy, what's going on with 75?
Well, when I talked to David Starr and Dave McCarty this morning, they said they took a chance in qualifying, and Starr almost wrecked that truck. They did not tighten it up enough, so they started 22nd, which is a little unusual for David. Dave McCarty made a lot of changes in that truck since happy hour, and he says it's either going to be hero or zero today. We'll see once the race starts. So obviously those changes have been pretty good for David Starr.
David Starr has only run here twice before, and he finished 4th and 3rd, so he really does well at this racetrack. And again, he's no exception today. He's running in the 4th position right now with some very, very good trucks.
Got a couple of Toyotas, a Ford in front of him, so Dodge right behind him. All the makes represented up the top 5 or 6 trucks.
Michael, you made note earlier about if some trucks have a large gap in front of them and trucks bottled up behind them, that they probably are not running as quick as the guys behind them. Maybe should move out of the way. We saw Jack Sprague with some distance between himself and the 7th place truck of David Rudin.
Well, you just have to realize it's a 200-lap race. If you're holding somebody up, they're not going to be overly patient. These races are relatively short, so you can't jeopardize your whole day just to hold someone off for 10 or 15 laps. You give it a whirl, you try to get away, but if you can't, you better give them a break so you don't get spun out.
Dave Blaney running very well in 3rd position. Ray, what's going on?
Well, Rick, just wanted to update you at the very beginning of this race, before the trucks even rolled off pit road. Dave Blaney said the engine just won't run on this thing. They couldn't figure out what was going on. It was sputtering and backfiring, and they found out there was a loose cable on the ignition box. So one of the crew members got that fixed, and since then it's been very, very good. Now Scott Wimmer is down here in the pits helping the team out today, and definitely a whole effort down here for the number 23. We documented that Shelby Howard is here at the racetrack, but they wanted to evaluate. Now, just to let you know, the fuel window will open up for these guys at about lap 116 to 120. In that area, if we get a caution, they can come in, put fuel in these trucks, and go the distance. Dave Blaney has said on his radio a number of times, I feel like we're the best truck on a really, really long run, so hopefully it stays green.
Well, on this run, Mike Skinner again has established himself as the fastest truck. He just ran a 24:15. Carl Edwards run just slower than that. But those two trucks are a couple of tenths faster than everyone else on the track. So it seems as if he can keep his track position and doesn't have any problems in the pit or no problems on the track, that could be the truck we're going to look at as a favorite to win this thing now here at halfway, Rick.
And Toyota could claim their first ever win in the upper echelon of NASCAR. Wendy, what's going on with 42?
Mike Skinner has just been saying it's a little loose in and off, but he's been fairly happy with the truck. Rick Wren came over the radio and said, we have something even better for you, Skinner. He said, I have a shiny new set of stickers coming on you for the next pit stop. So, Skinner, I believe everyone saves their last set of tires the best set for last. Is that not right?
That's what they say on Days of Thunder. Harry Holm, he always had a special set of tires for Cole. So I've been told that a bunch. The best set's the next set we got. So I bet you that's what they're telling Skinner.
We hear Mike Skinner talk about his truck being a little bit loose in the corner, a little bit loose off the corner. To me, Michael, this is one of the places probably that you can get by with being too loose less than you can anywhere else, because I would rather be a little bit on the tight side here than a little bit too loose, because you go so fast here and you're on the throttle and hammering it so hard, the slight bit of looseness here and you could be in trouble.
Well, I think that's like we alluded to earlier. It's more difficult to drive a truck loose, and when you up the degree of difficulty, which this track does, then obviously you can get in trouble in a hurry, and you have to be a little conservative when your truck's loose. So Skinner is an expert. I mean, he will charge with the car until the race, from the first lap to the last lap. So he can probably take advantage of being a little bit free, but he'll probably like him to tighten it up for him a little bit too, so that he can make sure he can get going right off the bat. That's when it's really difficult. If you're a little loose, is when you first go under green flag racing, and then after that it gets easier and easier.
Mike Skinner's been able to run down on the bottom of the track as you watch him go through 3 and 4. He is right down on the bottom of the track, coming out, going in. He's been running very well all day, and so Rick Wren and that team has really got that truck figured out.
They were very happy with their truck after happy hour. I talked to Rick and Mike both, and they really struggled in practice prior to qualifying, and they finally hit on something. They changed almost everything they had on the truck between qualifying and between practice prior to qualifying and qualifying, and then they were very happy with this truck in the happy hour practice.
When you look at this truck down in the corner field, watch the way that thing's sealed to the road. It looks like they've got a really soft setup in the front end of that truck. See the right front corner of the truck right there? It's just right against the ground. So he's taking advantage of having that thing soft in the front to stick those front tires and using the aerodynamic downforce of that Toyota truck to seal it to the road.
His teammate, the 2003 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, Travis Quapple, currently in the 11th spot. He started 11th. He's got a new paint scheme. Nuts coming on board. Nuts.com, a new sponsor. Started by Alex Meshkin, who is the owner. Alex Meshkin just turned 24 2 days ago, and he is a 2-truck owner in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Well, what do you get at Nuts.com? What is that?
It's an amazing concept. It's computer. It's an internet situation where if you go online and we almost had a problem with the wall right there. But if you go online and you visit the sponsors, the different companies that are associated with Nuts.com, you earn points, and then you can use those points to purchase things on auction. So they have different products of their different companies that they're associated with that are available online. And so a great concept. This is where Alex Meshkin was able to make his fortune and get into the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
That's easy for you to say. I still don't know what it is, but I'll take your word for it.
Take a look at what just flew off of the 20 or still on the 22.
Yeah, it's just tape. They tape these things up when they crash them, so it was coming untaped. It's coming unraveled.
That was what Robert Huffman was able to view of his fellow Toyota driver.
Hey, Mike Skinner and Carl Edwards almost every lap are running within 3 or 4 hundredths of a second of each other. It looked like Mike Skinner was going to be a little bit quicker there for a period of the race. A couple laps, he was maybe a tenth quicker. But now Carl Edwards and Mike Skinner are on almost the exact same lap times, and the gap is stabilized at about what 8 or 10 truck lengths, and that's where they've stayed for the last number of laps.
Mike Skinner and Carl Edwards have moved out in front of third place Dave Blaney. They've got a little over a second on third place Dave Blaney. David Starr and Bobby Hamilton rounding out your top 5. The MBNA America 200 continues. We're over 100 laps. We'll be back with more after this.
Dear Darrell.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series MBNA America 200. We're on board with 4 different trucks.
I'm confused. I'm dizzy.
Andy Houston in the upper left, Robert Huffman in the upper right, Jack Sprague in the lower left, and
Kenny Schrader.
Kenny Schrader down in the lower right.
Hey, Rick, could you explain to me that Nuts.com thing again?
As a matter of fact, no, I can't, Michael. I'll admit to you, I cannot explain that to you.
Okay, good.
It's way over my head. But you can tune into Speed Channel Monday at 8 p.m. Go behind the scenes from Checkered to Green. That's Checkered to Green. The real world of NASCAR Busch Series racing. Casey Kane, Tim Feedwood, David Stremming, all a part of NBS 24/7.
That's good stuff right there. I can tell you that. Ever since Flippin came on board, man, I've seen a real dramatic improvement in the performance of that Fitness Bradshaw team. I need to get that man over to my house because, like Schrader said, I do have issues.
Carl Edwards moving right in on Mike Skinner. Mike's been caught up in a little bit of traffic. There's Andy Houston, Team ASC CarQuest Dodge, getting ready to go a lap down.
He got one free pass today. See if he can be fortunate enough to catch another one.
Andy Houston currently in 18th position. That means that now there are 17 trucks remaining on the lead lap.
I know his teammates got to be breathing a little bit easier today. Ted Musgrave's been able to remain in the top 5. Steady run. That team needed that.
Only one top 10 finish this year for the entire Ultra Motorsports. Ted had an 8th at Atlanta. That was their only top 10 finish this entire season.
We had mentioned earlier Gene Need coming back over to the Ultra Motorsports #1 team, and Ted Musgrave being dealt a bad hand of cards again at this race when he had to change engine to go all the way to the back. He qualified fairly well up in 10th and then had to go to the back of the field, but has worked his way back up to the front. Now he's in 5th.
See the last 3 races here. That's fun, very uncharacteristic-like for Ted Musgrave. Always a top point contender. This is his 4th year in the series. Been in the top 3 in points the 3 previous seasons. 13-time race winner. Always runs up front. Looks like maybe they're getting their program back on track.
This is an interesting layout, the way the schedule's gone so far, Phil. We had a unique track for these trucks, obviously Daytona. And we had a couple of small tracks, Mansfield, Martinsville. They're a lot alike. Then you have the 2.5-mile-and-a-halves of Atlanta and Charlotte. And now this place is a unique place. I mean, nowhere else do they run a track like this. It's so fast, so high bank, but yet it's only a mile long. So it'd be interesting to see how they can parlay these races in the early part of the season where they race on so many different types of tracks into what the rest of the season plays out like. Who will be strong as we go forward after running so many different tracks early in the race?
Mike Skinner out in front trying to improve upon the 2nd place finish for Toyotas at both Daytona and Atlanta. See if they can get their first win. Carl Edwards just behind him. He got his 2nd pole here. Dave Blaney in his first ever truck race, currently in the 3rd spot.
He's done a great job trying to evaluate the program for Bill Davis and doing a super job. You see right on his rear bumper, here's David Starr, Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. He's having another great run at Dover like he typically does.
We talked about Ted. That truck's been steady and consistent all day long. He's running comfortably in the top 5. Got him a good run going, and that team's I know they need this, so it's good to see Ted's running so strong today. Started last, up to 5th.
Another veteran behind Ted Musgrave, the number 4 of Bobby Hamilton. Ray?
Well, Rick, we've heard Hamilton on the radio saying, tight off, guys. We're going to have to adjust on this thing. Really, that's been about all we've heard on the radio from all these guys down here is tight off. We're at lap 125 right now. Within the next 5 or 6 laps, we're going to be where these guys are going to have to start pitting. I expect Bobby Hamilton to come down pit road about 132. Same for the leader, or excuse me, for the number 99 running in 2nd of Carl Edwards.
David Rudiman in the NTN Bearings, number 17, currently shown in 7th place, trying to bounce back from a very disappointing race at Lowe's Motor Speedway, where he got into the wall and then later the engine went out on him.
Had never seen this racetrack till he got here yesterday. What a terrific job he's doing. He really adapts awfully quick to these new racetracks because so many of the racetracks are new for him. And there's a guy that no racetrack is new to Jack Sprague. 3-time series champion, winner this year earlier in the season at Mansfield, Ohio, another new racetrack. So doing a terrific job here. Ray, what's going on with Jack Sprague?
Well, Phil, when they pitted on lap 49, Jack was very tight in the middle. They took a rubber out of the left rear, and since then, he said the truck is definitely better, but he just hasn't been able to advance any. He said he's not exactly sure. It feels good in the middle and good off the corners, but he's not making any ground.
You know, Ray said there they pitted at lap 49. That means within 10 laps here, all these guys are going to have to pit, whether the caution flag comes out or not, except Rick Crawford, Terry Cook, some of these guys that made a pit stop on lap 73, they're going to have about a 25-lap window there where possibly if they catch a caution in that period of time, they can gain a huge break.
Our points leader, Dennis Setzer, just in front of Steve Mark, who had a great qualifying run and was running well, was up in front, has led laps here, then had a problem at pit stop. Now he's dropped back. He's trying to work his way back through the field. He's currently being shown in 10th place. Pit stops will be up next.
Welcome back to Dover, Delaware. Steve Park comes in on lap 134. They were very worried about the fuel window. So he has brought the Orleans Dodge in. They will pack that thing full of fuel. They'll have plenty to go to the end. They are going to make a wedge adjustment in the left side, also down on the track bar. They come around to the left side. Remember last time they were a little bit slow on the left rear, but also Park had been blocked in. They get the left sides done, and Steve will be back to the racetrack. Wendy?
Leader Mike Skinner pulling down pit road. The team has been on the wall for the last 10 laps waiting for a caution to come out. Since we're not going to have that, he's making a green flag stop. A little bit slow getting into his pit stop. He'll take 4 tires and fuel and a slight air pressure adjustment. He complained that the right front tire was giving up a bit on that last run, so I'm sure Skinner will be happy to get these new stickers on this last run.
Carl Edwards jumps up to the lead again. This is the second time he's been in front of the pack.
Dave Blaney hanging right with him in that Toyota of Phil Davis's. David Starr running third in the Chevy.
Dave Blaney was about 3 seconds behind a few laps ago, and he's really seems to maybe have the best truck on the racetrack right now. Although that lap, Carl Edwards was about a 1/10.5 quicker than was Dave Blaney.
Mike Skinner just out in front of the leader now, as Carl Edwards trying to put him 2 laps down.
Yeah, Skinner's a lap down, so a little tense time right now, Rick. You're hoping the caution doesn't fall. You want the pit cycle to go all the way through where everybody has to pit under green, so you don't lose a lap. But man, there's a couple of good trucks, Ray, that won't be pitting for quite some time now. But on pit road right now, 17 and 16.
Yeah, they'll bring the NTN bearings Toyota to me right now. This time, Michael, same thing. Everybody down here saying they're just afraid to push that fuel window. So here comes David Rudeman into his pit. He's been tight on exit here after they made the first round of adjustments, and he overshoots the pit. So by going over, they had to wait for him to back up. We see they are going to make a wedge adjustment on the right side there. As they go to work, they will go down 1 round on the right rear. These guys go to work on the left side. It did cost him just a little bit of time there as he overshot his pit. We'll see how much. We also see the 16 of Jack Sprague leaves pit road, and there goes the 17.
As does the 1 of Ted Musgrave. Bobby Hamilton missed pit road entrance. Look at him slowing on the track, trying to get back up to speed. He missed the entrance.
Wow.
It's going to cost him a tremendous amount of time.
There's a commitment cone that you have to commit to pit road before you have to be at pit road speed and make the commitment. And obviously Bobby Hamilton did not make that cone.
Bobby is back on pit road right now. Lost a tremendous amount of time in that little miscue.
Let's go back down to Ray.
Danny Rollins, the crew chief, talking to Bobby Hamilton, saying, guys, we cannot make another mistake here when you get to pit road. Rollins does change the front tires. Dale Newcomb's on the rear. Here comes Bobby as he swings in with the square D Dodge. These guys said, same thing as we've been hearing from everybody, tight on the exit off of the corners. They did lose time by him missing pit road. Bobby will try to regroup now. As they get done on the right side, we see a wedge adjustment. These guys do that, and the 46 truck of Dennis Setzer coming in right behind him. The Silverado Chevrolet will come in behind the number 4. This is a fairly long pit stop for Hamilton. He's going to lose a lot of track position. The 46 will put wedge in the left rear all the way up to where the air pressure started before. They had gone down on air pressure on their first pit stop. So Setzer will do it, and these guys are pointing to the left side. When the NASCAR officials pointing to the left side, there's a problem on the right rear. They did not get a lug nut on the right rear. They will get it on there for Setzer. But boy, how many costly mistakes we've seen on pit road today. First Steve Park, then Hamilton misses it. And how about the 46? Loses a lug nut on the right rear.
Well, it's an incredible turn of events, Michael. You know, you only have a couple shots at it. You're only going to make about 2 pit stops with these Craftsman truck races. And unfortunately, some big mistakes have been made on pit road. Dave Blaney is now in the pits. He was currently running in the 2nd position. There's our leader, Carl Edwards, the 99 truck.
Big discrepancy in the amount of laps that some of these cats are running compared to the others. Carl Edwards still clicking right along, some 7, 8, 10 laps after we saw the leader, Mike Skinner, pit.
Ray?
Dave Blaney has said he has had the tightest truck of anybody out there. He can tell it by watching the other drivers, so they're going to make an adjustment with air pressure. Will they go with 2 tires or 4? They get ready? No, it will be 4 for sure this time. So Blaney will work on a bit of a problem there. These guys, it's just been amazing to see how many costly mistakes we've had. They're slow on the right front. He runs over the hose. But Carl Edwards has not come off of pit road yet. I got to believe in the next lap, he'll be down this way.
You got David Starr heading onto the pit road now.
Wendy, talk us through this pit stop.
Lap 148, David Starr finally coming in for his stop. Dave McCarty was waiting as long as possible to see if a caution would come out. They're going to take 4 tires and fuel and make a slight track bar adjustment because they have been tight off. Having trouble with the front tire changer, having a little bit of trouble on the left side. Lots of problems on pit road during this green flag stop. David Starr is away.
I believe Carl Edwards might be out of gas. He's wiggling the truck as he goes down the backstretch trying to get in on pit road. May have pressed it a little bit too far.
You see him, he's still wiggling. He's really going to cost him a lot of time. There's the commitment line. He's got to be down to pit road speed right there. Now he's got to coast all the way down to his pit.
The 18 of Chad Chaffin out in front. Let's find out what's going on with the 99 of Carl Edwards, right?
Well, you guys hit it right on the head. Carl just said on the radio, out of gas, cowboy. So they're going to be ready with ether. He shakes that super chips forward, back and forth. Bobby Clark does the front tires, and John Armstrong is on the back. We're going to put 1 turn of red in the right rear. 1 turn in. They get that done. Darren McDaniel is the jackman, and these guys swing around. They've got to try to get this truck started. They packed it full of fuel. Carl is flipping the switch, trying to run it. It is not running. The truck is not running, so the crew will try to push. They spray the ether, and they push him. It tries to fire.
Oh, we got a crash.
And a crash on the front stretch. Number 67 into the wall, so we will see a yellow flag here. 67 with the crash.
What a big break for Chad Chaffin, who had assumed the lead. He was one of the trucks that pitted on lap 73, Michael. He assumed the lead. There are only right now being shown 4 trucks on the lead lap. One of them is our buddy Ken Schrader. You've got Chad Chaffin leading. Rick Crawford, there's his crew right there. Awfully happy. Hank Parker Jr. in 3rd and Ken Schrader in 4th. The only 4 trucks on the lead lap.
And the amazing thing about that 18 truck of Chad Chaffin, Phil, not only has he been out there since lap 73, taking advantage of having a little extra fuel, but his lap times. He's been the fastest truck on the track, even though he's got older tires on than some of the guys that have already pitted.
We've been watching him. We're able to see with our computer who runs the quickest lap each lap. And I keep looking up there, and every time it's Chad Chaffin running the quickest laps.
Take a look at why we were under our 5th caution. Kevin Love in the 67 coming down the front stretch.
Oh, he got loose exiting the corner and overcorrected it.
We talked about that earlier. You get loose off that corner. We saw Carl Edwards do it. Did not overcorrect. Kevin Love, very little experience. Overcorrected, got into the outside wall, sent him down into the inside wall. Pretty hard contact, and just broke the heart of a whole bunch of guys that have already made pit stops.
Check out what Schrader's looking at. He's saying, wow, haven't pitted yet and the caution's out. This is a break, a big break. And like you said, Phil, there's only 4 guys on the lead lap right now. One of those cats will get the free pass, so we'll have 5 on the lead lap. Looks like it might be Andy Houston who gets that.
The pit road is still closed right now. They usually keep it closed for a lap so all the field can be collected by the caution truck.
Speaking of field, part of the infield getting torn up by Kevin Love.
Pit road should be open this time, and Chad Chaffin is going to be glad to see pit road.
Pit road is closed, so do not come down.
There you have it.
Ambulances and stuff sit down there at the end. That'd be the reason.
That's the reason. There are ambulances right at the exit to pit road, so they're going to keep it closed right now. Wendy?
We were just checking in on pit road. The 14 team and the 18 team pitted right next to each other. Got very excited when that caution come out. Actually, Ray Stonkus came over the radio to Rick Crawford and he said, "You need to come in. You are losing ground." And Rick said, "Give me 10 laps, Ray. I'm waiting for a caution." So they were very excited. It came into the favor for Rick Crawford.
Somebody else that it came into favor for is Ken Schrader. Let's see if we can talk to him.
Hello, Schrader. We're up in the booth. You're riding along in 4th. You got enough gas to get to the pit here in a lap or 2?
Oh, yeah, we're fine, Mikey. We came in and topped off there one time. Had about 20 more laps of the fuel, you know. Thought that was a roll of the dice. We weren't ready to put on tires yet, so we just opened up our options, and hey, something worked for a change.
What about your truck? You were good enough to stay on the lead lap. There were several trucks that made that pit stop with you. You and the 18, the 14, and the 21 were the only ones really good enough to maintain a speed that kept you in a position to take advantage of the brake. So you must be getting the truck better and better.
Yeah, it really is, Mikey. We're getting it better. You know all this stuff that's going on now and how much different everybody's doing with the chassis and the shock and spring combinations. We got it better, but we got more to learn.
All right. Well, pit road's still closed, so don't pit yet. Got some ambulances and wreckers and stuff at the end of pit road, but when you slide in there, adjust that thing up a little bit more, and let's get with them so we got something to talk about on Monday night on that show we do. You know that show, right?
Yeah, well, we already got your wreck to talk about, and we got the rest of this race, your Aaron's Dream Machine tomorrow, and then both of our cars Sunday, so we'll come up with something to talk about.
Okay, you didn't have to mention the wreck, but you're right. I'll talk to you later.
Sorry, Mike.
He already had mental anguish prior to that, and some other guys that have had mental anguish have been some of these trucks having problems with their pit stops during the past green flag stops that had come up earlier. And let's take a look back at some of those problems that we saw earlier. Steve Park earlier had some problems with the jack, didn't get the truck jacked up high enough to get the tires off and get the new ones on.
Yeah, they had a problem with the jack falling down. Lost a little bit of time, but not near as costly as the stop earlier when he got too close to the wall. You can see Bobby Hamilton here just could not get slowed down in time to make the commitment line.
See those cones right there? You have to be inside of those cones. He was not able to do that. Cost him a tremendous amount of time. There's Carl Edwards, Michael, ran out of fuel on the racetrack. He is now being shown 2 laps down.
Well, and he was leading the race when he came into pit, and then when running out of fuel, had the problems, and then the caution came out. It was a costly caution for a number of teams.
Yeah, we talked earlier in the broadcast, see Schrader is, I can get a shot of him, but he's doing something, just a little preventive maintenance here on the front straightaway. He's riding along on the apron. You'll see some of the guys do that when they start to be concerned with their fuel, just to make sure it doesn't slosh away from the pickup. But we talked about earlier the fact that a lot of green flag stops can come into play here at Dover. So we knew the pit crew was going to be important, and we saw the effects of that.
Yeah, Ken Schrader
will be open.
You hear pit road will be open. Ken Schrader's, the fuel pickups for these trucks are in the right rear corner of the fuel cell because of the centrifugal force that forces the fuel over to the right side of these trucks in the corners. So when you're running 35, 40 miles an hour on the caution flag, the fuel actually goes away from the pickup. That's why you see a lot of drivers run on the flat. It's the flattest part of the racetrack you can get to try to keep that fuel over at the pickup.
Next time we talk about nuts.com, I want you to explain it, because that was perfect. That was right on the money.
Concise.
It was.
My brother told me that you have to get in and get out. Make your point and leave it behind. And if you feel yourself stumbling, just quit altogether. Don't just say, heck, I don't know.
Well, the leaders are coming in. I know that right
They're
now.
Not going to quit. Your leader, Chad Chaffin, first onto pit road. We had mentioned earlier, only 4 trucks currently on the lead lap. Wendy?
The last time you will see these trucks count down pit road today. Chad Chaffin's in for 4 tires and fuel. He's actually putting on 17 lap scuffed tires because that is all they have left. You also see the 14 of Rick Crawford coming in for 4 tires and only 1 can of fuel. No changes on either of those trucks. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Thank you, Wendy. The number 21 of Hank Parker Jr. is in. They're going to go with 4 tires. This is his 10th career start in the Craftsman Truck Series with a best career finish of 8th at Milwaukee. These guys pitted on lap 73, and they said, we get a little fuel in this thing. We don't want to have too much there, so they only put in about 1 can of fuel there, so they will go back out at 156. What position will that put these guys in?
1 through 4.
We will have 5 trucks on the lead lap when we go back to racing. Andy Houston will get the free pass when they get ready to go back racing, and we will have 5 trucks. There's Andy right there, the Team ASC CarQuest Dodge. He's going to finally catch a break this year. He hasn't had one this year. He's going to get one. He's going to be one of only 5 trucks on the lead lap.
The way this works, Andy Houston will get the free pass. He has to come down with the lap trucks to get fuel. He can't fuel back up after he's gone around the pace truck. So, as we have completed 156 laps of 200. We'll be back to see the conclusion of this one. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series MBNA America 200 on Speed Channel is brought to you by the United States Army, an army of one. Wendy, what's happening?
Well, listening to the communication on Chad Chapman's radio, he came over and he took 17 lap scuff tires on that last stop. He said, I'd give $10,000 for a new set of tires and $100,000 for rain to start coming. Let's talk to crew chief Kip McCord. Kip, you've had a lot of problems, but you've overcome all the issues that you've had on pit road today.
Well, I tell you, we hadn't given up. Chad hadn't given up. I'm so proud of him and all these guys on his Dickies Dodge team. And Chad's just driving the wheels off this thing. It's really good right now. All we got to do now is keep our nose clean, and hopefully we can pull this thing off.
Are you worried about the scuff tires?
No, not at all. No, the tires are good. I think this is our best setup we got on right now.
It seemed you were fastest on that last run.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he kind of got mad. He kind of got mad at us a little bit because we messed him up in the pits, and you know he's really been driving the truck really hard, and so I think he's on a mission now. Hopefully we'll come out okay.
All right, Kip McCord, cautiously confident in the last half of the race.
Michael, we get ready to restart this race. We're going to have a slew of trucks on the tail end of the lead lap. Our leader, Chad Chapman, may restart this race 8th or 10th on the outside line, and then plus there's going to be some lap trucks on the inside of the racetrack.
Yeah, he'll line up about 16th when they get ready to go here, leading the race with just 40 laps to go. That's not the kind of aggravation you want to be faced with, but he got a big break, obviously, by not having to pit. That got him in this position, so he just had to live with the fact that he's going to have a bunch of trucks right in his lap when they throw the green flag here in a lap or two.
Dover International Speedway, very close to the Dover Air Force Base. We saw one of the military vehicles flying by. Now, Dennis Setzer, our points leader right now, had a 37-point cushion over Carl Edwards, but Dennis Setzer currently being shown in 18th position. So this is falling off the pace that he had been setting already this season.
Well, a lot of guys, the running order is shuffled around quite a lot right now, Rick, because of the fact that the caution flag came out during green flag pit stops. That's just the way it works, you know, and Dennis has been running in the top 10, but right now he's back in 18th. He's on the tail end of one lap down, so he's just a truck length or two from being 2 down. We'll have to see what happens on this restart. This is going to be the most interesting part of the whole race today, how this restart shakes out. Will there be another caution right quick to allow a lot of these guys to get back in contention? Or are we going to run it green from here to the end and decide it between the 5 guys on the lead lap?
As you mentioned, the running order is so jumbled up. Steve Park, who was so strong early, made a green flag pit stop. He's back in 15th. Carl Edwards, who led so much of this race, he's back 2 laps down in 20th. Bobby Hamilton had that miscue, missed pit road. He's 1 lap down back in 19th. So it's the running order is so jumbled up right now. And again, if we don't see any more caution flags, these drivers are not going to be able to overcome the fact that they're a lap down or even on the tail end of the lead lap. This race will be decided amongst Chad Chapman, Rick Crawford, Ken Schrader, Hank Parker Jr., and Andy Houston. That will be who decides who wins this race if we do not see another caution flag.
But if we do see a caution, then that brings another 10 guys into the mix that might be a part of this deal as well.
Then we're going to go back to the nuts.com and talk about that again, because I don't know how to understand that either.
Well, let me tell you what'll be fun to watch, though. I think Chad Chapman has got the truck to race with these guys, even if they do get back on the lead lap. So he'll, if there is a caution here in 5 or 6 laps after this restart, he will still be the leader if he doesn't get involved in the caution.
Or if he doesn't get passed by Rick Crawford and some other good trucks, Ken Schrader, Hank Parker Jr.
You're right, but I think he's got a good enough truck where he can race these guys, stand level-footed with them and battle it out to the end. Take advantage of the fact that he got a break and then still parlay it into a win.
Now, Robert Huffman was in earlier, and we had talked about the mishaps that have taken place on pit road. Let's take a look at one of his crew members, the gas man, as he was in for his last pit stop.
That's the catch can man right there holding the first can. And there's a second can as he tries to plug in and cannot quite get it sealed up. Fuel going everywhere. You see him shaking his head. I'm not sure if he got that thing full or not. Of course, we only have 40 laps to go, less than 40 laps to go, so he doesn't necessarily need to get it full. And I'm sure if they didn't feel like they got enough fuel in, they would bring him back down pit road, make sure he has enough fuel to get to the finish.
He definitely didn't need a fuel bath, and that's what he got.
Gallons of fuel
that was
spread all over him.
Shooting all over him, so I'm sure he's getting hosed down right now.
On the inside, the 42, the 1, the 23, the 75, and the 16 all have the option of starting on the inside as they go to 2-file restart.
This is huge for a race fan. This is huge for us commentators, the media. This is what this race is all about right here, this restart. But for those guys out on the racetrack, the ones that are on the tail end of the lead lap, the guys leading the race, this is tense. It doesn't get any tenser than this.
You see our leader, Chad Chapman, will restart this race. I thought it was going to be 10th, but Jack Sprague just drove by him. He will actually restart this race in the 12th position. He'll be on the outside, 6 rows deep. That's where our leader is right now.
Mike Dolan pulls the pace truck down on pit road. Our leader is the 18 of Chad Chapman. He's back in the field. There are trucks just in front of him that are on the tail end of the lead lap. And we're back underway after our 6th caution of the day.
Right now, Phil, if the caution falls, 10 guys will get a lap back. It's changed the complexion of this race dramatically.
Normally, most of these trucks would defer to the leader because he's leading the race. Right now, they don't want to see Chad Chapman. They want the caution to come out while they're in front of Chad Chapman, and then they got a shot to win this race again.
Now, you talk about wanting to see a caution. Is it possible to create a caution?
Well, heck yeah, we see that all the time.
Pretty much every caution we ever see is being created by something or somebody.
Okay, intentionally.
Well, I've never, especially a place like Dover. Bobby Hamilton having trouble sliding up the racetrack, losing a couple spots. Now he's back behind his teammate Chad Chapman. He is again 1 lap down. Actually, that makes Bobby 2 laps down. As you see Dennis Setzer right there, the outside of Jack Sprague, side by side, coming off turn number 2.
Rick Crawford in second behind the 18 of Chad Chapman. Bobby Hamilton trying to race with him now in that square D Dodge.
Just in front of those trucks, our leader, Chad Chapman, and he's tiptoeing, Phil. He doesn't want to see a caution. He wants to blend in. He doesn't want anything to go wrong right now. But you can see there the strength of that truck. He's able to drive right up on Carl Edwards like we documented earlier. He's got a great truck.
He sure does. He's going to let these other trucks open the door for him. He's going to get by Ted Musgrave. He's going to put Ted back 1 lap down.
Just in front of our leader, that's the Super Chips 99 and the Chevy Silverado 46. Those are 1 and 2 in the points. Dennis Setzer leading our points. Carl Edwards second in the points. And here you see the Dickies Dodge, number 18 of Chad Chapman. That's our race leader.
Dennis Setzer, he is that much 2 truck lengths from going 2 laps down. Same thing for Carl Edwards. He's one vehicle for being 2 laps down in this race and being completely out of contention.
If a caution would come out, Ted Musgrave is the highest scored 1 lap down vehicle right now. He would get the free pass. Your leader trying to get around, as we've documented, the faster trucks that are out in front right now. They've all pitted. But Chad Chapman leads after 169 laps. Take a look at our MBNA mid-race recap. Early on, it got a little hairy. Lap 7, 5 trucks involved and numerous others banged up. We ride along with Robert Huffman as he was able to get through unscathed.
You can see here Steve Park shakes Carl Edwards a little bit loose. He grabs the lead. Had a very strong truck, much to the appreciation of Brendan Gaughan. But then he comes to pit road and had a couple of miscues in the pits. You can see here he just can't quite get out of his pit. Lost track position back into the field a little bit and then wound up losing a lap when all the leaders had to pit under green.
See, Brad Keselowski had an engine problem going in turn 1. Got into the wall awfully hard. Fortunately, got out of the truck, is okay.
Our most recent caution, putting all the trucks a lap down. Kevin Love spinning, coming down the front stretch and getting into the inside wall. Only 4 trucks were then on the lead lap. As we look at the MBNA race summary, Chad Chapman, your leader. 4 different leaders. Lead changes, average speed just under 100 miles an hour.
right now Chad Chapman is saying, you see, there's our lap leaders. Mike Skinner has led the most laps so far. But Chad Chapman led 29 laps so far. He's saying, I will do anything to not see a caution flag. He'll say, I'll be a good boy. I'll be nice to dogs. Anything but a caution flag.
And when that caution came out, there were 4 trucks on the lead lap, but there were another 5 that were still on the lead lap, but in front of our leaders. And so currently we have 9 trucks that are on the lead lap, but 4 of them are just in front of our leader.
Yeah, they're over 20 seconds behind right now. Those trucks are led by Mike Skinner in the 6th position. There's our 2nd place truck right there, Rick Crawford. Got Sears on board this truck.
Got Grandma Williams at home, 100 years old today, cheering. He's up to 2nd. Something good might happen for Grandma and Rick. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Great battle for 4th and 5th, Ken Schrader and Andy Houston.
Great run for Hank Parker Jr. That silver Toyota right there. He's currently in the 3rd position, would be his best career finish by far. Can he maintain that? And there's our battle for 4th. There's our man Ken Schrader, the Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet, the 52 truck, and Andy Houston, the Team ASE CarQuest Dodge, who needs a good break. And right now, so far, looking like he's going to get one.
Man, it's
the laps continue to whittle down. 18 laps remain.
I bet you Kip McCord and those boys down there in the Dickey Dodge pits are thinking, could it be? Could this all work out?
We saw Chad lead the race at Martinsville till very late last year. Ran out of fuel right at the end of the race while leading. Had a good shot to win that race. Had a good, strong 3rd place run last year at Michigan. That tied his career best. That's his best finish on a super speedway. But right now, if he can run 18 more laps, keep Rick Crawford behind him, and the caution coming out, he may have his first win. Ray Dunlap.
Hey, Phil, keep in mind this is the exact same truck that Chad drove right here at Dover a year ago to a 7th place finish. He also drove it at Bristol on the concrete to a 7th place finish. They call it Angel, and this is the oldest truck in the fleet at Bobby Hamilton right now, but he said he really likes his truck. And also one other thing to keep in mind, today will be a record if he were to go on and win. We've never had more than 5 different consecutive winners to start off a season. If Chad Chapman wins, that'll make 6, and that'll be a record for the Craftsman Truck Series.
And those of you that went online onto speedtv.com and chose Chad Chapman as your predicted winner for the Dover race will have an opportunity to put your name in a box, and they'll draw the names out, and one lucky winner will win a toolbox filled with Craftsman tools that will be autographed by the winner of this race. And you can also do that for the remaining races. All you have to do is go on to speedtv.com, log on the left side of the screen. There's a Craftsman Truck Series logo. Click on that, pick your winner, put in your information, and you will be entered to win one of the 18 remaining toolboxes that will be available. And the next race is Texas, so you'll be picking the next race.
Rick and Michael, I don't think I would have penciled in Chad Chapman with my pick here, but he's not backing into this race. If he wins this race, Michael, he did not back into it. We saw how fast he was prior to all those trucks making green flag pit stops. He was fortunate enough that he made a pit stop about 25 laps after they did. He didn't have to stop, but he's been having a great truck all day.
He got a break, Phil. He caught a break, and he's taking advantage of it. He had a good enough truck to take advantage of it. And I guarantee you, if the caution was to come out right now, he would be hard to beat. He's in front. I don't know if they could get him or not.
Chad Chapman, Rick Crawford, Hank Parker Jr., Ken Schrader, and Andy Houston are your top 5. We'll see if that stays the same when we come back for the finish of the MBNA America 200. Caution number 6 has come out. Ken Weaver spinning on the front stretch. He wrecked his initial car that he unloaded during practice yesterday.
Except as a truck.
That's a good point.
See him on the inside of the racetrack there, just trying to stay out of, looked like maybe Mike Skinner's way.
Wow.
And around he went, made hard contact. Again, bank straightaways, not much room on the inside, made hard contact there. That was Mike Skinner. He tried to stay out of his way, pinched the truck down a little bit, hit the inside wall a ton.
That was a hard crash, Phil.
And the last person who wanted to see this caution is who, Michael?
Ken Weaver.
Well, how about the second to the last person?
True statement right there.
Second to the last would have been Rick Crawford.
Chad Chaffin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chad Chaffin. I was thinking about
Rick Crawford would have been third, I think.
I was thinking about Grandma Williams. She might be glad there's a caution. Get this win out of the way here on her 100th birthday.
A reminder, the Craftsman Truck Series does not end on caution. So we will go green, white, checkered. And Chad Chaffin is looking to become the 44th different driver to win a Craftsman Truck Series race. Wendy?
Rick Crawford did come over the radio and said, we did not need that caution, boys. They're a little bit concerned about the truck. They said it is not that good, and they're most likely going to lose spots to those new lead lap trucks. Let's go to Ray.
Hey, Wendy, Jack Sprague was in 9th position, and they decided to come down here and get some tires. These tires have 30 laps on them. They ran them in happy hour. Sprague was saying that he just gets crazy tight after 5 laps, and he just can't make any move forward. So they said, maybe this set of tires will be better than the ones we had. It seems a little weird to me as we're not going to have very many laps left here to give up 9th position. What do you guys think?
Well, Ray didn't really give up anything because he's the last truck on the lead lap right now. So he's going to go right back to where he was, and he's going to have fresher tires than anybody on the racetrack. The caution came out with more than 10 laps to go. So John Wood, the 50 truck, will be the free pass recipient. So there will be 10 trucks on the lead lap when we restart. Jack Sprague will still start 9th because John Wood has to go to the tail end of the longest line, which is going to be a single file restart. So he will have to go all the way to the very back of the pack to restart this race.
Now, Michael, who do you watch on a restart like this? Mike Skinner, the old veteran, or Rick Crawford, who's saying now that he doesn't think he can hold off the guys behind him?
Well, Mike Skinner is definitely a threat to Chad Chaffin, but Chad Chaffin's best friends right now are Rick Crawford, Hank Parker Jr., Ken Schrader, Andy Houston. That's just, I think, in my opinion, Rick, too many trucks to get around in too little time to get around those trucks and catch the truck of Chad Chaffin, because he's running so well. He's going to be out in front making time while those other guys are in traffic. Ray. Yo, Ray.
Yeah, Michael, same thing I just saw happen down here for Dennis Setzer. He came in and put tires on too. Those will be his happy hour tires. And we also saw David Rudeman come in the NTN Bearings truck. He was wicked loose, so they wanted to make a big wedge adjustment for him, put a couple of rounds of wedge in. But also tires going on the 46 for Setzer here.
Just differing strategies right now. There are some tires in the pits that have some 30, 40 lap runs on them, but those were fresher than the ones they had on the truck. So just trying to make an adjustment, get some cold tires. Cold tires work better than hot ones, even no matter how many laps they have on them for just a 6 or 7 lap run, which shoot, it isn't going to be that. We're going to be looking at 2 or 3 laps to decide this thing late in the going here.
There's Chad's wife, Cindy, right there. You think he's nervous in that truck. He's probably not nervous. He's probably the coolest guy here. But I'll guarantee you Cindy's a little bit nervous. What a terrific job Chad has done, no matter what happens. Looking for his first career Craftsman Truck Series win. First win in any form of major form of NASCAR racing. Ran the Busch Series for a little bit. Was not able to get a win there, but he looks like he might get that first win today.
We'd like to welcome our men and women in uniform serving around the world and watching today's race on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thanks for all you do. We hope you're enjoying today's telecast wherever you are stationed. And remember, America stands behind you every step of the way. 60th anniversary of D-Day on Sunday. Big celebration here at Dover.
Bobby Labonte's cars painted up with a tribute to the day, and of course our armed forces are a very important part of NASCAR racing. The armed forces have embraced NASCAR, and of course everybody in this country is so thankful for everything they're doing for us, and I'm glad that we can pay tribute to them here in our NASCAR world.
Cindy Chaffin just overwhelmed by emotions right now.
Chad's going to have 4 laps to run. He's got Rick Crawford right on his bumper.
Coming across the start-finish line for lap number 195. When they come out, when the green flies, as Mike mentioned, 4 laps of racing.
He wants to get a good restart here. He wants to try to not spin the wheels, get a great clean race start, keep Rick Crawford behind him. As you mentioned, his best friends right now are Rick Crawford, Hank Parker Jr., Ken Schrader, and Andy Houston. They're keeping the truck of his between the truck of Mike Skinner, who's been so fast, and Dave Blaney, who's also been very good, and Bill Davis at number 23.
Chad Chaffin's been very strong, but I don't think we can count out a Rick Crawford or a Hank Parker Jr. Anything can happen with 4 laps to go.
You got to get a good restart. It's the first thing that's got to happen. Let's put that behind us. Let's pull her in 4th gear with a gap over who's in 2nd, and then work on driving the truck through the turns to try to get an advantage. You're right. There's a lot of things that are going to go on over the next 4 laps before we're going to give this trophy away.
Cindy Chaffin hoping and praying that things go right for the 18 Dickies Dodge of Chad Chaffin as he takes the green flag. 4 laps of racing to go.
Got a good restart. Need to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. He looks like he has his tires cleaned off. Got a good start. Rick Crawford right there with him.
Crawford actually gained on him off 2 there.
Crawford looking for his 2nd win of the season. Chad Chaffin looking for his 1st win of his career.
Or Rick Crawford all over the back of Chad Chaffin. Stay on the bottom of the racetrack. Don't want to overdrive the corner. Don't worry about that mirror.
Gets a bit of a gap off 2 there. Boy, that was important, Phil. He was able to drive away a little bit, get a little bit of breathing room. We saw earlier, all you have to do is get up behind the guy ahead of you. You can kick him loose and grab the lead.
A year ago, Jason Leffler claimed his 1st ever Craftsman Truck Series win on this track. Chad Chaffin could possibly do the same thing, claim his 1st ever win at Dover International Speedway.
Got to stay clean. Rick Crawford all over. Chad Chaffin again squirts out to about a truck length lead.
Big
coming off turn number 2.
Good turn for Chad. He's able to drive away some more from Rick Crawford.
Coming through 3 and 4. This time, Dennis James shows him the white flag. 1 mile to go for Chad Chaffin.
He's going to show why Bobby Hamilton had enough confidence in him to put him in that truck last year, keep him in that truck this year. Dickies came back to sponsor this truck, and he's headed to his 1st win.
Chad Chaffin trying to hold on through 3 and 4. Rick Crawford trying to get in front. He's not going to be able to do it, and Chad Chaffin will win the MBNA America 200.
Good job, boys. Good job.
What a great race. Drama.
And Chad Chaffin made no mistakes. He had a restart with about 5 laps to go. Made absolutely no mistakes. Did a terrific job.
How much fun is a 1st-time winner? That makes it all worthwhile when you see those emotions right there shared by the family of Chad Chaffin. I got to go. That was a great race. I'm going to practice the old air and stream machine.
You got so excited. You want to get back out on the track.
I'm going.
Good job. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Chad Chaffin getting a congratulatory wave from his owner, Bobby Hamilton. Making his way down pit road now. They will direct him to victory lane. 1st time ever for Chad Chaffin.
Yeah, so if you want to do it, I'd say you've got the right.
We'll be right back to celebrate win number 1 for Chad Chaffin right after these messages. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series MBNA America 200 on Speed Channel is brought to you by MBNA. By Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. And by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. And now let's go down to victory lane. Wendy Norris with our winner.
Victory lane for Chad Chaffin. Teammate Bobby Hamilton already came over to congratulate him. I talked to your crew chief this morning. He said, we've had good trucks all year long and nothing to show for it. Now you do. How does it feel?
I don't know what to think. I mean, God is awesome. I'd like to thank Bobby Hamilton, all my guys, Dickies, the crew chief, Kip McCourty's been giving me great trucks. I mean, I didn't do a burnout. I ain't won a race in so long, I was afraid I'd mess that up, so I thought I'd just come on in here and act like I meant to win that race.
What were you thinking on that last caution? Did you think Rick Crawford had anything for you?
I knew he had the fastest truck, but when you get down to a shootout like that, you know, anything can happen. One slip, you know, one anything, but our truck was fast all day. We got behind early, had a miscue in the pits, and but we had a fast truck all day, so I'm just happy to win.
All right, Chad Chapin, his first victory in the Craftsman Truck Series, the 13th win for Bobby Hamilton Racing, getting a kiss from wife Cindy. Very happy couple in victory lane today. Ray Dunlap, what do you have?
Well, Wendy, I have our second place finisher, Rick Crawford, and a very good day in the points for you. Come in here 117 out, leave 56. You got to be happy with that.
That ain't too bad, is it, Ray? No, a really good run for the Sears and all their associates for Father's Day sale promotion. Your one-stop shopping source for anything for the father for Father's Day. Sears has got it, from tools to pants to shoes. It don't matter. And what a way to race. They end today. Guy wins his first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. I mean, our crew wears Dickies drawers, so congratulations to him. That truck's been good all year, and you know, I know what it means to win your first race. And I was going to race him clean. If he'd left me a door open, I was going to close it. So, but he was hard to beat.
Pretty wild day out there today, wasn't it?
Yeah, we made a mistake there on our first adjustment, and we came back and adjusted during that caution and put some fuel in, so we were able to go a little bit further than your normal fuel window that everybody had to start stopping on the green and all that, and I think that played into favor us finishing second. You know, we lost our crew chief this week. He went back to where he came from, and Ray Stonkus and Craig and Ronnie and all the Club Bar guys hung back in there with me this week and finished second. That's a tribute to the team.
Congratulations. Great run for Rick Crawford. A great point day for them as they finish second here at Dover, guys.
Take a look at the unofficial results for the MBNA America 200. Chad Chapin claiming his first win in his 38th start.
Rick Crawford, great runner-up finish. Hank Parker Jr. gets a career best of third. Mike Skinner, Ken Schrader rounds out the top five. Dave Blaney in his first ever start gets sixth. And Andy Houston gets the monkey off his back and gets a top 10 finish.
And the top 10 were the only trucks that were on the lead lap because of that late caution that came out during the green flag pit stops. Tracy Hines finishing 21st. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. The continuing research and development of Toyota in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has been very exciting to watch. And in our Toyota Spotlight, we take a look at Hank Parker Jr., who's with Wendy Norris.
Top Toyota finisher of the evening with a third. Hank, what was going on out there? Was it a wild ride?
It was a fun ride. I mean, you know, we start off the day kind of slow, and, you know, we made some pretty big changes after happy hour. You know, this track really changes a lot. The more rubber it gets on it, we knew there was going to be a lot of rubber on the track, and we were just too tight still. So the guys made some pretty big adjustments. Wesley Sherrill made the call to make some pretty big adjustments. I wasn't sure it was going to work or not, and the truck was really fast, that long run. And, you know, when we came in and made those adjustments, we topped off with gas. That let us go a lot further than everybody else. But Toyota Tundra was really hooked up, especially in the long run. I was really having a hard time passing. I'd kind of stall out behind people and kind of had a run on Rick there at the end. But, you know, he's an awesome competitor. Congratulations to Chad Chapin. And, you know, I really got to thank Wesley and Jerry, the guys on my team. They did a really good job. And, you know, it's just it's a wonderful opportunity for me to drive for this Toyota Tundra. And I just thank White House Apple Juice and all those guys for giving us this opportunity. Today we had the breaks that paid off good.
Great night for Toyota. Great night for Hank, his first top 10.
Chad Chapin savoring the moment. First ever Truck Series win, first ever win in the upper echelon of NASCAR. Chad Chapin enjoying the time with his first ever trophy in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Very impressive one at that. The point standings, Ford point standings through 6 races. Dennis Setzer remains on top. Carl Edwards closing the gap ever so slightly, just 20 points back. But as we mentioned earlier, Rick Crawford, the big mover today.
Big gain by Rick Crawford. Mike Skinner gained a lot of points. He came in this race 138 behind, closes now to 77 out of first.
We get back to action a week from today. That is next Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern at Texas Motor Speedway. And one truck that's been very dominant there has been that 62 Orleans Dodge, and now Steve Park has a lot of pressure on him to show that that's still going to run well on that track.
We saw some flashes of brilliance from Steve Park tonight or today. He led the race early on, made a miscue on pit road, never overcame that, but he will be good next week.
So remember that when you sign up for your Craftsman Toolbox giveaway. that you can check out to see who might win that Texas race, and you can earn yourself a Craftsman toolbox autographed by that winner at Texas. A spectacular race, a lot of drama, a lot of problems taking place in the pits today, but it was overcome by Chad Chapin, claiming his first ever victory in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and our 6th different winner this season.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of